Howdy fellas, Zan here. Today I wanted to talk about a couple of indie games that I've played on stream, twitch.tv/Zandolf1/home. Swing by if you can. I try to stream every weekend. Before I get into talking about these three games, I just want to mention that you can find links to download all three of them in the description, and if any of these games pique your interest at all, then I do recommend you give them a try. Alright, let's get to the games. To really talk about this game, I first need to talk about how basic it is. To sum it up, this game is Desert Bus, but also a typing game. You drive down a desert road while transcribing Beyond the Wall of Sleep by H.P. Lovecraft. It's that simple. Kind of. You see, this game made me feel a lot. Now don't get me wrong, I did not burst out crying at the beauty of the open road. No, this game made me feel unsettled. During my playthrough on stream, I didn't really read the story I was transcribing. I just focused on typing the letters and then adjusting the car every now and then, putting on the radio every so often. And to some, this might sound kinda nice, but there was always something there to throw me off. The oddness of my surroundings, the strange and occasionally disturbing radio, and the feeling of loneliness. This game did a fantastic job of making me feel like a sleep-deprived man, typing away on his keyboard while driving down a highway. But just as I got tired, something would happen. I'd drive off the road, or a weird noise would happen. You really feel the driver's descent into quiet madness, because he's you. As you get annoyed with the game, he gets annoyed with what he's doing. And eventually, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending is pretty wacky. Now, I said this game made me feel lonely, and to some of you who might have watched my stream, you might be a little confused. You see, I was in a Discord VC chatting away with two of my friends. But really, at times I felt quite lonely. It was just me, the open road, and the two goofballs pranking our friend by asking him H.P. Lovecraft's cat's name. It was because of those two silly gooses that I was able to play this game for like 2 hours. And don't get me wrong, I love this game as a piece of art. But as a game, well, as much as I talk about how interesting the feelings of this game are, I can't help but think about my playthrough, because this game took forever. I know that's kind of the point, but the fact that there is no saving system, so you have to finish it in one sitting, it makes it a bit frustrating. And the unsettling parts that I was talking about, well, they're very few and far between. Although it adds to the feeling of monotony that this game is based on, it makes for a pretty lackluster experience as a game overall. If you like H.P. Lovecraft, art games, or Desert Bus, then go ahead, give this game a go. But if you're the average TF2 scout main, then I can't help but say this game might not be for you. Its slow pacing make it good for one group of people and completely boring for another. And though the ending is good, whether or not it's worth playing the entire game to get to, well, I'll leave that up to the few who get there. Howdy fellas, you've reached the Coldline portion of this video. Coldline is a thriller game, or maybe a 1960s Russian phone sim. Either way, this game made my heart pound. In the game, you're the chairman of the USSR during the Cold War, and something went wrong. A 50 megaton nuclear warhead will strike New York in 10 minutes, and you need to call someone to make sure New York doesn't get turned into a big sad hole, and stays a big sad city. In this game, the only way you interact is with your phone, and the way they simulate this is with the numpad. It's really cool. It's like the way old phones from the time before Clash of Clans. That's how I tell time. Sadly, I'm dumb and had numlock on my computer, so my numpad didn't work, and I had to use the numbers up here on my keyboard. I'm sure most of you are clear on where the stressfulness of this game comes from, but for those of you who maybe don't get it, I'll lay it down nice and easy. You see, it's not just as simple as calling the president. You need to navigate through menus, and not the fun kind with $2 chicken tenders and a word search, but the evil kind that ask you, if you want to learn more, press 2. And if you were thinking to yourself, that doesn't sound too hard, just play the game. When I played on stream, New York got obliterated 3 entire times before I just gave up. As somebody who has never had to navigate menus like this, I could say that this game is thoroughly stressful, but also fun. The feeling you get when you find a piece of info that you need is amazing. and the feeling that you get when you realize you have no clue what to do with that info is devastating. Coldline is a fun game with a really original idea and novelty control scheme. If you want something short that keeps you on your toes without being scary, this is the game for you.
Hi. You have reached the United States Washington Moscow hotline. Thank you for your call. Are you...
Franken is one of those games that's just oozing with personality. Music alone is some of the best I've heard in a game with such a small scale. It's clear a lot of love went into this. Not only is the music good, but it's also really varied for a game that takes about an hour to beat. It gives off a bunch of different moods that all manage to fit the overall feel of the game. From cheery adventuring music to unsettling villain layer music. It all just goes together so well that I want to listen to it all the time. The humor in this game is pretty much the entire reason this game is worth playing, besides the music. Everything from the characters to the locations find a way to incorporate a level of humor. The entire game is hilarious and uses the expectations you would have for a normal RPG against you by almost immediately subverting those expectations. One of the ways it does this is with the characters, having some of them play into classic RPG tropes and others just exist. It does this to a point where characters that you would expect to be in an RPG are just here but have no role, pointing out the redundancy in their role at all. Minor spoilers. A good example of this is the king. In a normal RPG, the king might be the main quest giver, but at the beginning of the game, you already have a quest, so he doesn't really do much except talk about how awesome he is. For this reason, some of you might just say not to talk to him, but for reasons I'll get to later, I think you should talk to him anyway. The one part of this game I could see people disliking is the gameplay. The game has more in common with a walking sim than an RPG, with the second-to-second gameplay consisting of walking from point to point, talking to funny characters, while looking for some key items. While there is technically combat, it is super easy and simplistic, to the point that it only uses one button, and I didn't even know you could die until like halfway through. But I don't see this as a negative. It uses what it has and manages to make it feel like a lot more. And of course it is used for comedy, that usually comes from the monsters you fight. I view the combat in this game less like combat and more like violence-induced dialogue. The game also has some puzzles, but they come in so late that they aren't really worth talking about. The main focus of the game is really the humor. If you rush through this game and just get from point A to point B, I doubt you'll have as much fun. For maximum hee-hees and ha-has, I recommend you explore the map as much as you can and talk to every character you can, which shouldn't be that hard because the map actually isn't that big. Also, I couldn't find a place to mention it, but this game has the best twist ending of all time. But don't worry, I won't spoil it. Originally, I was going to have a part where I talk about the story of this game, but it's just too much to explain coherently, so I'll just let you guys find out the story when you play it. The TLDR version of this would be that it's a funny little RPG-esque walking sim, jam-packed with funny and memorable moments. If you have a free hour, maybe hop in a call with some buddies and play this game. Alright fellas, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If any of the games that I talked about sounded interesting to you, the links are in the description. I'd like to give a special thanks to GME Lemons and Ace Space Face for keeping me company while playing these games. I had a lot of fun while making this video and want to make more like it. So if any games you think I should play, join my Discord. I might put them in Indiemania 2 or just play them on stream. Alright, I'll see you fellas later.